Well, it did give me a new appreciation for the original movie. Tonight, which is, as of the recording of this, Saturday the 28th, I went to go see the new Candyman movie. I was interested because it's horror, and I have made some references to Candyman before. I don't remember if in maybe videos or during live streams. And I have mentioned that Candyman, I always felt kind of meh about Candyman, to be honest, but the first and only time I saw it was decades ago. So all I remembered was just the basic how it ended, and I remembered that I didn't like how it ended. I just kind of, typical horror story fashion, not a happy ending for the protagonist, right? So, bear in mind that this is going to be kind of spoiler-ish. I'll try not to be too spoilery, but some of the stuff that I want to talk about, it's going to involve having to mention spoilers. So in preparation for watching this, I decided last night I didn't decide last night, but last night I was actually early this morning, because for the past few days I've been doing some overnight work somewhere where I have to stay up all night. And so to pass the time, I decided this past night or early this morning that I was going to watch the original Candyman to kind of get myself brushed up on the story, because I did, from what I understood, this new movie does tie into the original. So I watched it, and on the second viewing of the movie, I did enjoy it more than I had the first time. There's still things about it that kind of make me scratch my head. Like there's a scene where she goes down into the area, his lair, and she sees him lying on this raised platform or whatever. And I remember thinking to myself, why? I mean, he's this supernatural being. Why is he lying there? Is he just, I don't know. That part didn't make sense to me. There were other things that I started to think about actually when I was watching it the second time. I know I'm not talking about this new movie yet, and I've seen maybe only one or two people bring this up, but it occurred to me as I was watching the first movie, what if the character of Helen was actually the killer the whole time? What if she was just having this mental / psychotic break and she was killing all these people, and that in the end she rescued the baby? Like maybe she didn't realize what she was doing, like a split personality type thing, because she was becoming so consumed with the urban legend of Candyman and everything, and she saved the baby as sort of like a final act of redemption maybe, or whatever. I have seen this brought up as a possibility. So I don't know. I was thinking that the whole time I was watching it last night. But anyway, whatever. That's just has nothing to do with this. And I think it's been pretty much accepted that that's not the case. Candyman is a real, character in here, real bad guy character, killer, slasher, whatever. And, we get his backstory and everything in the first movie. So this movie comes out, and I sort of last minute decided that I wanted to go see it on the big screen. And ultimately, this film was a disappointment, to be honest. I felt like that this film was trying so hard to make social commentary points that it got to the level that it was so heavy-handed that it bordered into ridiculous territory. And I was not impressed. And what I came away from it thinking was that, well, it certainly did make me appreciate the first movie even more, because the first movie, to me, while it's not really high on my list of favorites, to me, the first movie is better quality writing as a whole than this thing we were given in Candyman 2021. Okay, I'll talk about some of the things that I did like about it. I liked some of the camera work was good. The acting was good. Some of the way the horror scenes were shot were pretty unique. Shots where you see things happening just through a mirror, or you don't see him in real life, but you see his figure or shape or form in a reflection on a glass or a mirror or something like that. That was kind of interesting. I liked that. I also liked the different tie-ins that they had with the original story. So the main character is actually the baby from the first Candyman, the one that Virginia Madsen's character saves from being burned, and his mother makes an appearance in here again. She'll come around here at some point in the pictures. It's played. She's played by the same actress who played in the original, and this woman doesn't look like she has aged at all. It's so disgusting. Anyway, but what is one of the many things that's disappointing about this film is that she's not utilized very much at all. Now, there she is right there. She wasn't a huge presence in the original film, but she was in there more than she was in here. And also, big spoiler for you guys hoping to see Tony Todd in here to any great degree. Nope, that does not happen. And I know why they have that poster with his back to you, the viewer, the Candyman poster, because that is not Tony Todd. They make you think it is. I thought it was the whole time. It's not Tony Todd. There are multiple Candyman in this movie. Basically, like they took the original story of Candyman. For those of you who don't know, his original story, and this is fresh in my mind because I just watched it last night, but granted it was super early and it was like, well, it was 3-ish o'clock in the morning. But the story is his character, he was the son of a slave or former slave. It takes place in 1890, his origin story, like what happened to him. He was the son of a former slave, and he was raised very well to do. He rose high in the ranks of the art world because he was an accomplished painter. And so this rich white dude, hired him to paint a picture of his daughter. The two fell in love, and the father found out about it and, of course, sicked the mob on him. And they beat him and tortured him, cut his hand off, poured honey on him, and set the bees on him. And the bees stung him to death. They then set him on fire and scattered his ashes in the area where the original where the original Candyman takes place. Cabraldi, I keep forgetting the name of that development, and I didn't realize that it was an actual real development in like a projects type development in Chicago. Cabraldi Green? Cabraldi. If I'm not saying it right, I'll put it in the video. But it was a real place. It wasn't made up fictionalized place. And also something super interesting about the first movie. There was a real life murder that inspired a story that was told in the first movie. I don't remember if it happened at Green or somewhere else, but anyway, maybe. But this dude did break into this woman's house through her bathroom mirror, the medicine cabinet mirror, because of the way the place was made. You could access the other bathroom, your neighbor's bathroom. And he did break in that way and killed her. I think he shot her. But that was kind of an inspiration for one of the deaths that's talked about in the first Candyman. Also, I found out that the original Candyman story was based on a short story by Clive Barker, which I didn't know at the time that I first watched it. And adjustments were made because in the short story, that takes place over there in England. So the Candyman movie, the 1992 movie, takes place in Chicago. So they adapted things, changed things, whatever. But that's fundamentally what it's based on. But you know what? I forgot what I was saying right before I started talking about the stuff I learned about Candyman. But hell, what was I saying? Okay, I remember what I was saying right before I went on the tangent talking about interesting factoids from the first movie. But what I was saying is that they took the original character of Candyman and they completely changed it around to where anybody who was unjustly killed could be Candyman. So there are multiple Candymen in here. And it just, to me, it cheapens the story of the original. And the heavy-handed social commentary type of thing that went on in here, like I said, it was really over the top, and it was kind of like it was just hitting you over the head with a 2x4. And I've seen people claim that the 1992 movie was woke, like comparing it to this one, because rumblings had started before I even saw it that this film was woke. And I know that some people can jump on the bandwagon about certain things being woke, and they're not really. This is just things that get started about it. But this film was, for the most part, yes, it was. And people have compared, well, the 1992 film was woke, but not really, because woke today, basically when people use that term today, I know it sort of started off having a different meaning, but when they use that term today, it kind of means, or the way I interpret it, it means it's like this attempt to make some sort, like to have some sort of message or agenda within the story, whether it has to do with race or gender or whatever sort of hot button type of topic. And it's done in such a way that it's over the top and it's so obvious, and it kind of draws the viewer out of the experience, especially because a lot of times when it's done, it's not done well. Pretty much all the time it's not done well. And what happens is the viewer feels like they're being preached to, and their fingers being wagged in their face, and it's a turnoff. You want to be drawn into the story. So in the 1992 Candyman, it was written in such a way that similar narratives that exist in this new movie were woven in, but the writing was done in such a way that it wasn't like a preachy tone. It was just, we're telling you the story. This is the situation. These were things that were going on. And so that makes a more compelling story than something like this, which was fundamentally just not, it was just, and some of the situations that they set up were just so over the top, which is like, oh, come on, this is just ridiculous what you're doing. And some things that they did with characters, like there's a character in there played by, Coleman Domingo, is that his name? Or Coleman Domingo, I think. It's the dude that played in Fear the Walking Dead. That's the first time I ever saw him. He's got this very distinctive voice. And stuff that happens with his character makes no logical sense. They do flashback stuff with him as a kid, but still, suddenly we make this leap to certain things that happen with him as a character, and this is too much of a leap to really be fully believed or bought into. And I don't know if it's like they cut a lot of stuff out or something, because it just came across as fabricated and ridiculous. And then also there were things like there was at least one certain killing scene that happened, and it's actually the killing scene that happens right here with the mirror. Even though I did like how that was filmed, it makes no sense why it shows this thing happening, because these characters have zero to do with the main story. The only connection is that one of the girls in the bathroom had been at this art exhibit. And then later, we just, all of a sudden, randomly, we see her and her friends in the bathroom. It's just a bunch of white girls. And then, of course, naturally, they're mean and bullying to the black girl that comes in and gets in the stall when like right around the time or after the white girls have called for Candyman. And pretty much all the killings, save for one, it's all white people being killed. So, it's like I said, very heavy-handed type of sort of narrative thing being pushed. And of course, these girls that called Candyman, they're a bunch of little assholes to the black girl that comes in, like bullying type stuff. But this scene why is it even in there? How does it advance the story? It doesn't advance the story. It advances a narrative that the story is trying to show, but it doesn't advance the actual story. It has nothing to do with the main character here or his girlfriend or anything like that. It was just like, it felt like it was just thrown in here to, okay, let's add a killing scene and something else that will sort of perpetuate this thing that we're trying to say, that white people bad. I mean, that's basically what is kind of the message that you come away with, or that's certainly the message that I came away with. And it was just like, really? Why? You could have told this in such a more effective way than saying it in a way that kind of will turn off half of your audience. So, or insult half your audience, basically. But anyway, there was something else also. I said Tony Todd. I had touched on him. He's in here for like a handful of seconds, if that. And he has one line. And he doesn't show up until the very end. And it's just kind of crazy to me because like I said, the Candyman is different people in here. At some point, the main guy becomes Candyman, and then all the bees are all over him, and then he transforms into Tony Todd, and Tony Todd says this line, and then it's over. It started off good. From the very beginning, though, it does start off with this tone, this underlying sort of, divisiveness between the races type of tone that is brought up, and that just sort of sets the stage for everything. And you can kind of like, okay, all right, there's that. But then when you compound that with the fact that the writing about halfway through just kind of tanks, it just, as a whole, it leaves you with this is just not a very good movie type of feeling. And the critics, oddly enough, the critics have rated this higher than the original. What? I kind of have a feeling that they did that because of who the director is and the fact that Jordan Peele's involved. I just feel like there's no other reason than that. And it makes no sense to me because the original movie is vastly superior to this in pretty much all ways. And anyway, whatever. So getting back to the reviews, this is like the second time in about 2 or 3 weeks or however many weeks that I've been suckered by reviews that come in about a film, and they're not necessarily really audience reviews, but critic reviews. And this film has like 80-something%, 83 or 86%. And then I started to see audience reviews coming in, and I was seeing it rank like middle to very low. I was like, ooh, and people were mentioning the woke, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to see for myself. I'm just going to see, because they were saying similar stuff about things like Wonder Woman and what else? There was another movie where they were saying stuff about it being woke or anti-male, and it really wasn't. So, I was like, I'm going to check it out because I'm interested. I watched Candyman. I want to see how this all ties in. And I do see where these people are coming from. The pacing in here, it feels a little disjointed, and also certain events that happen, like I said, that make no sense with regard to the character. And why is this character all of a sudden acting like this and behaving like this? Because it just feels like this weird evolutionary jump that they took without anything in the story supporting what they're doing. There's also some elements of body horror in here that are pretty gross, but at the same time, it's like, why is he not seeking some professional help for this? I mean, he does at one point, and he says they fixed him right up, but it ends up going all the way up to like his neck or whatever. And when I had seen a screenshot or an image of his hand, and it looked to me, when I first saw it, and this is the main character I'm referring to, it looked to me that it was burn marks. And I thought, oh, so when he was a baby and Helen saved him from the fire, I guess maybe he did get a little burn. So I thought that's what it was. And so in the very beginning, I am studying his arms and I'm looking at his hands, and I'm like, I don't see any burn marks. And then basically what it was this bee stung him, and he gets like, this contagion or whatever it is, the transformation, because he's going to be transforming into Candyman. It goes all the way up his arm, up his neck, and into the side of his face. And so anyway, I don't know. I have so many thoughts about this film, and I don't feel like I'm adequately expressing the things that make this film not work for me. Like I'm expressing it, but I don't feel like I'm saying it in a way that is easy to follow or whatever. I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head. I saw a review that some other YouTuber on here made for this movie, and I watched her review before I started filming this, and pretty much everything she said in there was a mirror thought to my own. I think I might post a review actually in the comment section or in the description, because she touches on it's like 30 minutes long, I think, and she touches on all the different things that are wrong with this film, and it's pretty much exactly how I feel. This isn't like like, I didn't have a huge expectation when I went in to see this, because this wasn't, like I've said, necessarily a horror franchise that I'm super pumped about. It's not like a Halloween for me, but, or a Terminator Dark Fate. You know, I went into Dark Fate and I was just pissed when that movie was done. And and I was pissed when I saw Army of the Dead, because it was just, the writing was so, like, some films can just really annoy the heck out of me because I expect that they should be so much better than they are. And this one, I didn't go into it with this huge expectation, but I did expect that it would be better than it was. Jordan Peele had written some, or had made a couple, like Get Out and Us, pretty solid horror type films. And I guess I fooled myself into thinking that his involvement might give this thing some depth to it that would make it pretty decent or solid. And honestly, I came away from it feeling like, no, it didn't. It was pretty bad, and there's really no excuse for it being as bad as it was. It should have been so much better. So I don't know. The theater that I was in was pretty well packed. I think it was almost completely sold out except for the 2 rows at the front. I'm not sure how well this is going to end up doing. It will probably do pretty well because there was high anticipation for this film, high expectation. People were pretty excited about seeing it. The critic reviews will probably snooker some people into thinking that it's going to be awesome, and they might go in there with a certain level of expectation, like I did, that it's going to be much more solid than it really ended up being. And I have seen the audience scores. They're pretty low on Metacritic. They're about 10% lower on Rotten Tomatoes, and they're in the 6 range on IMDb. I don't think I would rate this as high as a 6. I don't even know if I could rate it as high as a 5. It would definitely be below 5 for me, or, you know, like below 50%, below 5 out of 10 stars, 2 or less stars out of 5, below 50%. I just feel like it was such a disservice to the original movie, and I just don't appreciate what went into this, especially with everything that they could have done with the characters that we were given, like the child that's now an adult, his mother, Tony Todd. Instead, they made it veer off into this other direction that seems to be pretty counter to the original Candyman series of movies. I have not completely seen the other sequels to the original movie, but from what I understand, it's always Tony Todd. It's always his story. He is the Candyman. There are not multiple Candymen. There are not multiple Candymans. Candymen. Whatever. But it just, I don't know. I just felt, I get disappointed when I know that the material could be so much better, and then the writing is so poor, like it was in here. And I'm sure I've forgotten stuff that I was going to mention. I have touched on the ending and just how over the top certain situations were, a group of killings that had no connection at all to the story. I had wondered if what we were going to be exposed to what I suspected about Helen in the first movie, that Anthony was going to be the killer. That didn't really seem to come to pass. It seems like it is actual, you know, Candyman, supernatural killer type, but yeah. I don't know. Just disappointed. And I didn't even have huge high hopes for it, just because, like I said, I wasn't a tremendous fan of the first one. But I do have more appreciation for the original movie, for sure. After rewatching it, and especially after seeing this movie. This is a very much inferior product to the first one, and that's a shame. because it didn't have to be. It could have been done so well. And it's unfortunate. Oh well. If I think of anything else while I'm editing this, maybe I'll put it in the comments section. I know it's been kind of convoluted, but it is pretty late. It's already tomorrow, and I have been sleep deprived this entire past week because of working overnight and not getting enough sleep when I come home. So yeah, I feel like I'm a walking zombie or something. Well, shambling zombie, whatever. I'm brain dead right now. Maybe I should have waited till tomorrow to do this review. I don't know. Okay, well, if you guys have seen Candyman, the new one, what did you think of it? How do you feel it compares to the first one? Do you feel disappointed, or are you super pumped about it? I've seen a friend of mine on Facebook who loved it, thought it was absolutely wonderful. It felt like it was a great sequel to the original. And that made me actually kind of excited when I saw that he said that, because, oh, okay, well, maybe it is not bad. And then I watched it, and no, it's bad. It's bad. Okay, well, I can't think of anything else right now, and yeah, it's late. I'm tired. So I'm going to wrap this up. I would like to edit it and maybe get it up for tomorrow, which would be Sunday, which is not a day I typically upload videos anymore, but I would like to get this up because it's relevant to this weekend. Okay, you guys. Bye.